Hey guys, I'm making a quick YouTube video because there's some things that I wanted to enlighten you guys on, so that you will know some things that I know that may help, and you can take it as a grain of salt. Maybe it won't help, but I did want to talk a little bit about my visit to the Travelers Clinic. Starting off, I know I'm gonna be all over the place a little bit, but trust me, I hope it blesses you and I hope it gives you some good insight. Because not all of us are supposed to just be preaching at you, just because these things are happening around us with the coronavirus. It's not meant for us to, as preachers, to be just preachers. We're human beings, we're regular people that have regular information. I do want to talk about, first of all, the bill that they are trying to pass in the Senate and the House, and they're having trouble passing it. They're trying to pass a bill so that people that are off work because of this coronavirus will be allowed to have pay so that they can pay their bills, righteously so, while they are not working. And so I'm a little impromptu. I'm eating a pickle. So don't mind me. Any kind of vegetable is good for you. But there is a debate that keeps failing in the House and the Senate, whichever one, House or Senate. I may be incorrect. Some of you may correct me. But the bottom line is it keeps failing. One of the reasons why Republicans are not trying to pass it is because they think that it is going to cause undue hardship on small business owners and cause small business owners to get in debt. If they pass the bill, small business owners will be responsible for paying people that are not at work because they have to be quarantined or they have to stay at home and not be able to work. Now, I believe that it will cause small business owners to be in hardship because small business owners are barely making it, and they're not as well to do as these big corporations that are able to pay from this big nest egg that they have. Excuse me, I have food in my mouth. But I believe that the government should pay for small businesses. Any small business that gets a profit of less than a certain amount where they are not able to carry those individuals, I think the government should pay for the sick time for those individuals that are not able to provide for small businesses, to pay sick leave for individuals that have to stay at home. You got women with children. I actually saw someone on television that was crying. This woman, she had at least 4 or 5 children, and she's a nurse, and she has to go to work to provide for her children because otherwise she's not going to get a check. But she's putting herself in harm's way. And her daughter is literally crying because she's concerned about her younger brothers and sisters contracting this virus. And we need to get on the airwaves to assure individuals that there are some remedies and some things that we can do to prevent ourselves from getting sick. So in the meantime, while they're trying to pass the law or pass the bill that will provide for individuals to get sick pay, which they should be paid if they have to stay at home, whether it's from fear or whether it's from a quarantine, they should be paid. And I'm believing God that they will pass the law or the bill and that they will get paid, but the small business owners will not have to deal with the the repercussions of not being able to pay the sick leave time. I have a daughter that has four children, four of my grandbabies, and she just got blessed to be the postmaster over four locations, four postal services. I can imagine that this is opportunity for people that have been waiting for promotion to get promoted, because a lot of people are scared, and I don't raise scared children. So my daughter's not scared, and she is the postmaster over all four post offices. I have some beautiful, smart children. Not only that, um, I'm looking at my phone because I get updates. Um, anyway, let's pray and believe God that the government will take over, allowing small businesses to be able to have the government pay for their sick leave. That's what I'm believing God for. That is what I'm going to be praying for. Another thing that I'm on here is to let you know about my visit to the travel clinic. When you go to the travel clinic, if you're going out of the country, there are certain vaccinations that you have to make sure that you have. And there are certain precautions and medicines that they provide prescriptions for you to take. One of the things that they provided for me, and that is mandatory if you want to go to Nigeria, it is mandatory that you take a yellow fever shot. And so I did schedule and did take my yellow fever shot. And they give it right to you on your arm. And you get the yellow fever vaccination. So you have to put that in your passport, so that when you get ready to leave the country, you cannot board a plane to Nigeria. You won't be let into the country unless you've had a yellow fever shot. Another thing you have to have is a polio vaccination. And although I had vaccinations as a child, the polio vaccination I did again having as adult. I had an adult series vaccination, and I got that shot from the health department. Now the yellow fever shot and the vaccination cost that I had to pay, it was $290. So that was an out-of-pocket expense. I don't know if you know preachers, real preachers that are not big time, big name preachers that are paid for in advance. Like me, I'm not a big time, big name preacher. So my expenses had to come out of pocket. And then when I go overseas, then when I preach the gospel and I do my job, then I get paid and I get reimbursed from the offerings and from the churches that pay me to speak. And they don't necessarily pay me because I preach the gospel at no charge. I do it at my own expense. So yes, I did book my flight at my expense. And yes, I did get my yellow fever shot at my expense. And yes, I paid $290 out of pocket. Not only that, my passport was stolen around 2011 or 12 out of my truck, and I was devastated of that one thing. All the other paperwork and things that were stolen, I didn't care about. But because I didn't travel at that time, I didn't worry about my passport. But when I got ready to travel to Nigeria, I had to renew my passport, which cost me $160 because by that time my passport was expired. So I paid another $160 for my passport. So that was $290 and $160. That's about $490 plus another $60. That's about $550 out of pocket, out of my own expense. And then on top of that, you have to have a visa to get into the country of Nigeria. And you know how I feel about that. I feel that, black folks are not supposed to want to go to Nigeria, out of the country, to get into one of the African nations, because we have to pay for a visa. Yes, we do. They try to make it so complicated for us to get to go to, I call it the motherland. So they try to pay for us, make us pay for that. So it's extra money. It's all a money racket. And it's also to deter us from wanting to go because we look at all the expenses. But like I said before, I would encourage you to get your visa, get your passport. So that was another $160. So 290 plus 160, 390 plus 60 was 450 plus another 160 is $600. Yes, now my flight was approximately 1,300 plus dollars, and I did add trip protection that if I got sick that I would get 100% of it back. Well, actually, you don't even get 100% back. You get half of it back. Um, if you have trip protection, you get half of it back if you get sick, just a regular sickness and you can't go. But if you get hospitalized, you get a whole 100% back. So I thought, Lord, maybe I can get into a hospital and they'll keep me overnight. And I said, heck no, I ain't going to no hospital because I don't want to catch coronavirus on purpose in the hospital, getting it from just being there, just to get a refund for my ticket. But nevertheless, I rescheduled my flight. Not saying the country will be opened up at this time, but I am believing God that the country will be opened up and so that I can travel April 30th. So all of my Nigerian brothers and sisters, I am praying and believing God that all of this will be over and I will get to continue my trip. I was sorely disappointed. I can't fight against God though. And so I can't kick against the prick. So when God shut the country down, the very day I was going to fly out and try to get my visa on arrival that day, they would not give it to me. If I had not had the president shut down the country on the very day I was flying out, then I would have been on that flight, gotten all the way to the country, and only to realize that there's a 14-day quarantine, and I would have been quarantined for 14 days. It would have been a voluntary quarantine, but I would have been in-house, so I wouldn't have been able to preach my revival schedule anyhow that you saw on my Facebook page. However, I graciously got a chance to speak to immigration over there and to form a relationship, verbally a relationship. Don't get it twisted. You know, y'all take it and run with it. Y'all Christians, you know how y'all are. Y'all think everybody trying to be in a relationship with everybody. But anyway, to get a rapport with the head person of your immigration, and they graciously sent me an email back saying that I most graciously would be able to come back in a couple of weeks, hopefully when this blows over. But I wanted to give you some tips. I did send some information about lemons, and I said to stock up on you some lemons and to cut those lemons and put them pour hot water over the lemons, and it turns it into alkaline water. And that natural vitamin C will help to build your immune system to fight this so quote unquote pandemic. Now, the pandemic is the type of sickness that this is. The type of sickness that this is a pneumonia type of sickness. It will fill up in your lungs and cause pneumonia, and it's supposed to be such a rapid progression of it. Well, hey, I had pneumonia, and it's nothing nice. And I'll tell you what pneumonia is. When I had pneumonia, I was in my 20s, early 20s. My baby brother saved my life. He's older than me, but I call him baby brother because he was the baby boy. And I was determined to believe God for my healing because I was saved in my 20s and I was trusting God and believing God. Little did I know my trust and my faith in God kept me. But it also sent God to touch my brother's heart to come and check on me because I had been sick. In my chest, I could not breathe and I was breathing heavily. I did not know why I had pain in my chest. Deep in my chest, it hurt really bad. And I didn't know what was going on. Well, it just so happened one day I had fell out in the bathroom floor and my brother came to my house. He just happened to come to check on me because he couldn't get me. I think I might have answered the phone. I don't know. But I fell out. My blood pressure was so low and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And when he did come into the house, he lifted me up off the floor and carried me to the car and got a wheelchair and wheeled me into the emergency room, only to find out that I had pneumonia. And at the time that I had pneumonia, it was killing people. Pneumonia literally will kill you. And I was sent immediately. My blood pressure was something over 60. It was so low. I barely had a pulse and a heartbeat. And they got me in there. And all I remember is the nurses and the doctors working diligently. I was in the hospital for a week. They literally turned my bed upside down to raise my blood pressure to try to help me. And I remember my first visitation from the Lord. No, this was my second visitation because my first visitation that I had from the Lord is when I first got saved. But my second visitation it was. And the Spirit of the Lord, the angel of God, came into my room. God, Jesus himself, came into my room. Each night, he manifested in my room and talked to me and spoke to me. And I was literally out of it. I was out of it, fighting for my life because I had pneumonia and they didn't expect me to live. And as I was fighting for my life with pneumonia, they had me on ventilators. They had everything. They were working around the clock to get me better. They were giving me antibiotics. And that leads to me to my third point. Don't forget, the first point that I made was I was speaking about the lemons, making sure you stock up on lemons and slice you some lemons for your elderly family and run hot water over them. And it causes it to become an alkaline water. And that vitamin C helps you. The second thing I talked about was when I went to the travel clinic, how I got the shot for the yellow fever and for polio. I got from the health department. And so that leads me to my third case in point, and that was the antibiotics. The antibiotics that they gave me intravenously helped to save my life. Now, I want to say this to you all, and a lot of you all may not agree with me, and you may not like what I'm about to say, but there is a medicine, and I have it here. What did I do with it? Jesus, here it is. Here it goes. I got it right here. Let me put my pickle down. That's good. Okay. The medicine that they gave me was to prevent malaria. Malaria is serious. You can get a mosquito bite in Nigeria and you can die from malaria. You can get a fever and you can die. But there is a medicine called Mononox. And Mononox is treatment for malaria. If you get the regular brand, it's $7 a tablet. and they give you one for each day. And because I was going to be over there about 6 or 7 days, they were going to give me seven tablets at $7 a tablet. Um, they are ready to bury us in Georgia. I got to figure out what she means by that. $7 a tablet. And instead of that, because I have insurance, I got this. It's called doxycycline, and I'm going to spell it for you. It is DOXYCYCLINE, and then it says mono, MONO. It is the generic form of what you take for malaria. Well, this is the controversial part that you're probably not going to agree or like what I'm about to say. But Donald Trump is a businessman. He's been a businessman for years. He's brought himself from being probably close to being bankrupt back up to the top. This man has ran for president and has been elected president. And you guys call him stupid. He's by far not stupid. Let me just pull the cover off of all of you that call him stupid. Yes, I had a segment on one of my YouTube channels about how Kanye West wore that hat that said "Make America Great Again." And I was in full support of letting you all know that Kanye West was a modern day prophet. That's a whole nother story. You didn't understand why he went to see Donald Trump. That man is a genius. Anyway, Donald Trump slipped up and he said in social media, on the news, whatever, he said that he believes that the cure for the virus, the COVID-19 virus, was malaria medicine. And then they said, "How do you know, Donald Trump? How do you know?" And he turns around to you guys and said, he says, "Oh, I just got a feeling. I just got a feeling." Well, because of the position that he's in, he has to speak in a code. And don't get it twisted. Y'all think Donald Trump is crazy because he says a lot of controversial things. And he does that on purpose because you guys get all caught up in the hype of the controversy of what he says. But you never see the meaning behind what he says. He's really kind of giving you a clue. So I didn't let it slip for me. I know this is what they gave me for the travel clinic to take. They told me to take 2 tablets a day for 7 days before I travel out of town. So I started my regimen 7 days ago. And then to take 2 tablets a day for the whole 7 days that I would be out of the country. And not only that, to take 2 tablets a day after I leave the country to protect me from contracting malaria. So if a mosquito bit me, then they would bite some doxycycline that's in my system. So I would say older people and anybody, if you've ever had any antibiotics given to you, don't throw your antibiotics away. You remember Mama and them used to always tell us, keep it refrigerated. You never know when you need it. I don't throw away anything. Well, this in particular is a medicine that I have. A lot of people will ask me, "You got any antibiotics over there?" And I normally would have some. Well, it just so happens I'm still taking my regimen of antibiotics because Donald Trump slipped up and said to take malaria medicine. And he said it was just a feeling that he had. No, he's trying to give you a hint. And if you would take serious some of the things he says, even though he sounds crazy, that man's not crazy. That man knows what he's doing. He's so crazy, he crazied himself into the White House. Now, how crazy is that? Okay, so it would behoove you to start listening to some of the things that he says, and how he runs his cabinet, and how he fires people, and how he hires people. That man knows what he's doing. He is a smart man. And just because you don't agree with what somebody says doesn't mean that you have to not agree with the fact that they are intelligent. He's intelligent enough to be concerned enough to slip that in and let you guys know that doxycycline and mononox, the original form, doxycycline is the generic form, that it can help protect you against diseases and sicknesses and the type that we're dealing with. And of course, the world wants you to be in a pandemic. They want you to be caught up in a turmoil and fear and running to the stores and spending extra money. It's just like, and let me move this light a little bit. It's just like 911. You know, 911 was a joke. You know, 911 was set up by the presidents to make money so that they can make money um, on our fear. And those airplanes that crashed into the towers and all those things that happened, that was set up purposefully to make money, to cause fear, so that we would have um, this feigned fear of doing this and doing that, because 911, we're in fear. This is going to happen to the world. All that was set up. If you read and you study 911, you study how it was all a hoax and it was put in place on purpose. These people, these elite people, they play with our lives, and they play with us, and they and maybe you all think, well, maybe she shouldn't tell us this because it'll put her in danger. I'm not worried about being in danger, because my time is not going to come until God says it's my time. But anyway, 911, for those of you that don't know, get on YouTube, pull up 911, and read and study. You have to study. See, we as church folks, we lock ourselves into these four walls. We have church with each other. We get built up and get fed and become fat like hogs and pigs to the slaughter. And we don't give any of it out, so we become spiritually fat and spiritually overweight, because we go home and then we go eat our Sunday meal and we say we've done our due diligence because we've served the Lord. Well, but we forget about the part that we have a job to do for souls that are weighing in the balances, souls that are afraid. There are people that are literally afraid. So, this is the time, this is the opportunity for those of you that have never had an opportunity to preach or be on a platform because you've been going and listening to one man. And don't get me wrong, we appreciate the training and the opportunity to have a church to go to where we can be trained by awesome men and women of God. I have an awesome bishop, man of God, that is purpose to go on the apostolic level, and he is going there. But every time he tries to go to the apostolic level, then we as people pull him back down to the pastoral level, where he has to deal with trying to teach us how to love one another, how to get along with one another. That message just gets old, and it should not be so. He should not have to waste his time trying to teach us how to treat one another. We ought to already have that. The Bible talks about us not laying again the same foundation over and over and over again of repentance, of good works, of faith towards God. That same foundation, we should be past that. We should be in a place where we're prepared for the times that we're living in and the times that are going to come that are going to get worse. And some of those things that help us to be prepared is just plain old wisdom and instruction in things of the world. They say sometimes the children of the world are smarter than the children of God. Why? Because we have our head in the sand, having church, uh, uh, treating one another wrong, being jealous of one another, worried about titles, worried about positions. I just can't believe that a group of people will take this opportunity to get together and have church with one another, and his souls out here dying. I'm just not with it. And I don't care if a person doesn't like the fact that I say that, and it's just ought not to be so. We're supposed to be soul winners. The church is supposed to be the haven. God said, let my house be called a house of prayer. Church doors are closed. He ain't got no house of prayer. It's closed. So where's the house of prayer? And then people want to argue with me, and they want to say, oh, the church is within you. We're the body. We're the church. Yeah, the church is in me. But how come the church that's in me is not helping people that don't have the church that's in them? And I'm not tempting God by saying we need to have the church open. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it again. And it is not the preacher's fault. It's not the pastor's or the bishop's fault. It's normally the fault of those that have been wanting him or her or them to themselves in the first place. They've never wanted anybody else to come up and get to a place in God in the first place. I know, yes, I'm looking at my bottle. I'm playing with my bottle and just messing with it. This is just one of the medicines. Doxycycline. I'm taking it every day. Also, I had a friend of mine, evangelist, pastor, Dana Moore, tell me before my trip, the Spirit of the Lord spoke to her and said, start, go and get you some emergency from Walgreens and start taking it one a day to build your immune system up. So even if you don't have lemons, go and get you some vitamin C, take you one a day, and build your immune system up. Things that we've been neglecting. These are normal things that we can do to combat sickness and illness and disease. Mainly, I just wanted to get on here and tell you that Donald Trump gave us a clue. This is something else that they gave me. It's for severe traveler's diarrhea. It's called azithromycin, 500 milligrams. I didn't have to take this unless as needed. So I still have that bottle in my little thing. I had all of my stuff together along with the medicine that I had to take every day while I was out of town. And I don't want to stay stuck on the fact that I believe that the church should be open. And there's nothing wrong with me and my difference of opinion. I believe that God has raised up men of God and women of God that are pastors and apostles to go to that apostolic level. And if we're not careful, see these hands, the blood will be on our hands. The blood will be on our hands if we hold back the man of God that God is using, the prophets that God is using for the hour, the apostles that God is using for the hour. If we hold them individuals back from their place that God has, and if they allow people to hold them back from the work that God called them to do, because you're going to have to do it. We're going to have to do it. We're going to have to do this work. Paul had to do it. It didn't matter if they were beaten with many stripes. They had to do it. So I just want to say to you, these are just some things that I'm sharing. There's a lot of things that I know from watching the media, social media, for 2 years, because I have teens that God told me, I want you to study what is making your teenagers tick and what they're dealing with and what they're going through. And because I did that, I had to make myself relevant for my teens. And that's why I stay young, because I have teenagers. And so, um, just wanted to come before you just real quickly to let you know some things. Also, I want you to check out, after this video, you'll probably see a video of my son. He's a prophet. My son has a message for the masses. God is going to use him in these last days. So it will behoove you. He's got a page called Who Am I? And he is very deep into the word, deeper than his mother. He knows more about the word than I do. So you just take heed. And I just wanted to come to you really quickly, a little less serious than yesterday, but real quickly, just to say hi and to give you some information that I thought would be relevant to help to combat the sickness from coming nigh your dwelling, even in the natural. You don't have to just believe God. There's some certain precautions that you can take. So go look in your medicine cabinet. See if you have some doxycycline. Get that in your system. Get some of these antibiotics in your system. Get that vitamin C in your system. Build your system up. And I'm going to be out of here now. You take care. God bless you. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I didn't even have time to put my lashes on today. But anyway, it's good to be in the land of the living and to be able to serve God freely with what I believe that God has given me. Amen.